News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and now 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Some welcome news for veterans on Veterans Day. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. It's Thursday, November 12th, 2015. Right now we have a partly cloudy sky. We have 29 degrees in Missoula. Newscast this morning sponsored by locally owned Office Solutions and Services. Download their Office Shopper app for purchases, barcode scanning, and to search for products. Our top story this morning at the Veterans Day ceremony yesterday on the Missoula County Courthouse lawn. Montana Senior Senator John Tester announced an appropriation of nearly $2 billion for veterans health care. The vote, he said, was unanimous.
Yesterday, I, along with other folks in the Senate, took to the Senate floor and we passed an amendment that invests an additional $1.9 billion for VA medical services. Now, I'm here to tell you that amendment passed unanimously. That simply doesn't happen in the United States Senate these days.
Tester said he plans to keep a close eye on how that money will be spent.
This $1.9 additional billion is what the VA needs to take better care of our veterans. And you have my word that I will be scrutinizing how every dollar is spent, because we can't afford to make these investments without knowing that they're producing results for our courageous service members who have earned it.
Tester was one of several speakers at yesterday's event, along with Mayor John Engen, County Commissioner Gene Curtis, and representatives from Senator Steve Daines and Governor Steve Bullock. Forgotten Warriors Post 101 has hosted the ceremony on the courthouse lawn for the past 34 years. Ducks Unlimited has cut ties with a field editor and columnist for the conservation group's magazine after he wrote an article critical of a donor's legal fight over public access on his land in Montana. Don Thomas, a Lewistown writer, said yesterday a Ducks Unlimited editor told him the article upset media mogul Jim Kennedy, the chairman of Cox Enterprises. Kennedy owns a Montana ranch and is involved in a lawsuit over public access to the Rubio River where it crosses his property. Thomas's article appeared in the magazine Outside Bozeman this month. It accuses Kennedy of believing that Montana laws don't apply to rich people. The organization released a statement saying the article unfairly vilified a member of the Ducks Unlimited family without giving Kennedy a chance to respond. In the run-up to this week's Republican primary debate on the Fox Business Channel, Montana Senator Steve Daines joined host Stuart Varney on Varney & Cup and announced an early endorsement.
Joining us right now is Senator Steve Daines, Republican from Montana, who is endorsing Marco Rubio. Senator, welcome to the program. Tell us why it's Marco over everybody else.
Well, I think Marco Rubio is a next-generation conservative. He is a leader who will help unify as well as inspire our country.
Daines was on Varney and Company for about 4 minutes while the two discussed the advertising tactics of Rubio and his competitors.
He unites people, he inspires people versus attacks and tear down the other. I'm just concerned right now what's going on with some of these attack ads against Marco. They're really doing the work of Hillary Clinton. It's time for us to come together here. Let's get Rubio nominated because, as Kirsten Powers just said in your earlier spot, Marco Rubio is the Republican candidate that Hillary Clinton fears the most.
Rubio, a Florida senator, sits just 4 seats away from Daines during meetings in the Senate. However, things may be a bit awkward in the near future between Daines and the senator who sits to his immediate left, which just happens to be Texas Senator and Republican presidential primary candidate Ted Cruz. A Hardin woman has reached a plea agreement in the beating death of her boyfriend's 6-year-old daughter. The Billings Gazette reports 28-year-old Kirsten Oldbull has agreed to plead guilty to criminal endangerment and obstructing justice on Friday during a district court hearing in Hardin. A deliberate homicide charge is to be dismissed. Oldbull is charged in the March 2nd beating death of Kiomora Kiki Hogan. Prosecutors allege Clint Hogan had left his daughter with his girlfriend. Court records say when he returned home and found Kiki unconscious, he and Oldbull spent nearly 2 hours cleaning up the mess before taking her to the hospital. A doctor told investigators that the girl could have survived with immediate medical attention. Bighorn County Attorney Jay Harris says he'll recommend a 10-year prison term. Yesterday, signature gatherers hit the streets for a proposed change to the Montana Constitution. The ballot initiative, known as Marcy's Law, would require over 48,000 signatures to get on the ballot, and if approved, will give crime victims the right to testify before sentencing and the right to be notified about when developments in criminal cases. Chuck Deneau from Marcy's Law for Montana explains why he's a supporter.
Montana is one of just 18 states right now that does not provide constitutional protections for victims of crime. We do provide constitutional protection for people who are accused of crime or who are convicted of crime, and we feel that crime victims should be afforded the same level of rights as the criminals.
Backers of the law hope the law will protect victims from further abuse by their attackers. The movement was started in California after the murder of Marcy Nicholas.
Marcy was a college student in California who was stalked and murdered by an ex-boyfriend in 1983. And about a week after her murder, her mother and her brother Henry were confronted by that murderer in a grocery store. They had no idea that he'd been let out on bail.
Marcy's law was added to the California state constitution back in 2008 and has since been involved in numerous cases. Last November, voters decided to add it to the Illinois state constitution as well. It's Veterans Appreciation Day Saturday as the Grizz take on Eastern Washington, and Military Order of the Purple Heart Vice Commander Serge McRoud said his organization is celebrating before kickoff with a tailgate.
We're trying to do the biggest Veterans Appreciation game that has ever been done. We're going to be at the north side of the stadium at Lot 12 South area and have a lot of student veterans there, a lot of our people there for the Military Order of the Purple Heart, officers of the Association of Officers, and other veteran organizations there, of course.
Mukaru says that tailgaters are welcome to drop by any time during the game, can bring extra food or beverages if they wish. Montana Petroleum Association officials say its executive director is resigning after 10 years on the job. Spokeswoman Jessica Senna said yesterday that Dave Galt submitted his resignation to the association board a month ago. He plans to remain in the position until his replacement is hired early next year. Senna says Galt wants to explore new opportunities after a decade of advocating for the state's oil and gas industry. Finally, Montana life hasn't always been easy for 10-year-old Mufasa, the overweight tomcat. Adventuring outside of owner Jesse Connolly's Big Timber Ranch has led to rattlesnake bites and being soaked by a high-pressure hose. But the Billings Gazette reports that Mufasa's Friday morning adventure was his first 90-mile journey. The cat walked 6 miles to a gas station and climbed onto a pickup bed. He was still there when the truck merged onto I-90. Highway Patrol Trooper Alexander Velasquez took the hitchhiker into custody after a call from a passing driver. Velasquez, who calls himself a big animal lover, struggled to find a shelter that wouldn't euthanize the cat. He finally brought Mufasa to a Billings shelter that posted his story on social media. The post made its way to Connolly, who made arrangements to pick up the tomcat, who probably promptly left again. That's what tomcats do. Newstalk Time 612.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
A few flurries are expected early today, then becoming partly sunny this afternoon with their highs in the upper 30s. Winds will be out of the west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy tonight, lows in the 20s. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.